younger than you?
They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them though.
Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love DISSED. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got confident.
Jim Jones pulled up to Shannon Sharpe's podcast and dropped a bomb. He claimed he's not just relevant, but more influential than Nas. Yup, Nas. The second those words came out his mouth, the energy shifted fast. 50 Cent didn't even need to say a word. No name drops, no captions, just straight smoke. He threw up an old federal transcript on IG like a silent warning, and let the streets do the rest. Now fans are deep in the archives, digging up wiretaps and dragging out old footage.
I never got to see Nas. I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody.
Meanwhile, Jim's in the gym, barking back with diss tracks like he's suiting up for a prison battle. But don't get it twisted. This ain't just about Nas, and it's way deeper than some bruised ego. It's like 50 sending a message to the whole industry. Y'all forgot who's really bulletproof out here?
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy
big hits.
He's wild.
Yo, he looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying? Nas is like a god.
In my era too.
There's real chatter now about how some folks dodged indictments with no explanation. Jim might have tried to flex, but he just might have sparked a whole storm way bigger than rap. See, when Jim Jones brings up Nas, it always hits different. That tension didn't come out of nowhere. This beef's got history. Rewind to 2002. Nas went on that infamous Hot 97 rant and randomly blasted Cameron, calling his album trash with no real reason. That right there flipped the switch. Dipset came out swinging, and Jim dove straight into the drama. Things got wild. Shots fired through mixtapes, and Jim made it real personal. He even said he'd smack the kufi off Nas, and he meant it on tracks like We Fly High. This wasn't just rap beef, it was personal. But here's the twist. Jim actually used to admire Nas.
I had Nas, but remember Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Yes.
So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan, period. I'd never take that away from him, but then as I got in the game, you gotta realize that your rivals would be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style and my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
Just last year, he was showing nothing but love. Then out of nowhere, the respect turned into straight up shade. And it all took a wild turn when he hit Fat Joe and Jadakiss's podcast. Joe started stirring the pot, and Jim couldn't help himself. What happened next? Madness. Jim dropped one of the boldest takes in hip-hop lately. He didn't just say he was relevant, he said he was more influential than Nas. Nas, the Queensbridge legend. The guy behind Illmatic, God's Son, King's Disease. The same man selling out Madison Square Garden in his 50s.
Came into light and started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them though. But
you know what I mean?
A lot
Like,
of them don't.
No, me, Jim Jones. No Diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries and shit. And I'm not taking nothing away from nobody, but I hear the comparisons and then be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit about the industry. I've been putting on.
But Jim didn't flinch, not once. He stood on it and doubled down hard. That podcast didn't just stir the pot, It flipped it off the stove and set the kitchen on fire. And before the smoke even cleared, Jim spun the block again, this time on Shannon Sharpe's nightcap. Sitting next to Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson, Jim doubled down again and ended up making the situation even messier. Shannon didn't let him off easy either. He jumped right into it, but what Jim said next had fans straight up pausing the episode like, did he really just say that? He brought the old Dipset vs. Nas beef back from the grave, early 2000s drama, and tried to flip it into a win. Jim claimed he was a bigger Nas fan than most, but somehow had surpassed Nas in influence. Then he started deflecting, talking about how Fly Nas was with the fashion, calling him one of the freshest to ever do it, but still circled back to his main point.
But you're not seeing Nas.
Nas don't move the streets like I do. And yo, Jim got so pressed he even started roasting Shannon Sharpe's outfit. On his own show, it got so awkward, Ocho Cinco was just sitting there watching the chaos unfold, like it was two uncles fighting at the BBQ. While Nas was probably somewhere quietly working on his next album, Jim flipped out and accused Shannon of only inviting him on the show for clout. That's when Uncle Shay Shay snapped. He clapped back, "This the biggest podcast you ever been on?" And he wasn't wrong. Then it got spicy. Shannon Sharpe switched gears, from chill podcast host to full-on opponent. If Jim wanted smoke, Shannon was ready to take it to the gym. That's right. When Jim said he was better than Nas, Shannon didn't just question the bars.
You gotta don't do that, bro.
He challenged the body. Instead of clapping back at 50 Cent directly, Jim tried to duck the heat and flex in a new lane. He threw out a workout challenge to Shannon, trying to prove he still got it through push-ups instead of punchlines. But while Jim was caught up in Jim theatrics, 50 had already made his quiet move behind the scenes. And that old Individual One label, still looming heavy. Fans were going crazy in the comments. The internet was eating it up. A retired NFL Hall of Famer defending Nas like a rap soldier. One fan even said, "Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jada should have done. Jones, you delusional." Shannon, thank you for checking that. And they weren't wrong. Why were Joe and Jada so silent during that mess? Meanwhile, 50 Cent was lurking in the shadows, peeping the whole circus. And trust, he wasn't laughing. But just when folks thought it couldn't get any more petty, fans dug up that clip.
You don't want to see this!
The ultimate disrespect. Jim didn't just get ignored by Nas back in the day. He got laughed off stage. And now in 2025, that same energy is back like it never left. But it still wasn't over. While Nas stayed quiet and Shannon got swole, someone else was locked in on every moment. The second 50 Cent heard Jim say he was better than Nas, he didn't argue, didn't rage, he just laughed. 50 Cent dove back into his never-ending vault of receipts and pulled out pure heat. He relit one of the most controversial rumors in hip-hop history just by calling Jim Jones Individual One. That one caption had the whole internet in tears, but it wasn't just a nickname, it was a straight-up federal label.
Terrified.
I'm hiding out in Texas. Please, whatever you do, don't tell them I'm in San Antonio. Don't tell them I'm staying at the Four Seasons. Don't tell them, please, don't tell them, man, because there's just so much pressure on me right now. I don't know what to do.
It came straight out of Tekashi 6X699's wiretapped phone calls during his 2018 9 Trey Bloods trial. Here's the deal. Prosecutors played an audio clip in court where someone, allegedly Jim Jones, was heard giving orders to violate Tekashi for snitching on the gang. Jim's name was never officially mentioned in court. He was only labeled Individual One. His voice never confirmed, and he was never charged. But the streets never forgot. The blogs never forgot. And 50 Cent? He definitely never forgot. So now with Jim acting tough on podcasts and trying to drag Nas into drama, 50 saw the perfect opening to remind everybody what's really up. He hit the gram and dug up a deleted meme, one that said, "So that's why they ain't pull him in?" Boom! The timeline exploded. Say it ain't so, Jimmy! Fans instantly remembered 2019 when the Shade Room posted a courtroom update from Tekashi's case. A verified reporter said Tekashi named Jim Jones as a 9 Tray member. That's when 50 jumped in with his own spicy comment. And then came the infamous video. You know the one? 50 looking like he'd just seen a ghost saying, "I'm afraid for my life." I mean, Jimmy is gang. The internet was howling. Jimmy? He wasn't laughing. Dude was twitching. But here's the twist. 50 ain't just randomly beefing with Jim now. He's had smoke with him for years. This Nas moment just gave him a perfect excuse to drag Jim all over again. Let's rewind real quick. Back in 2007, things got messy when 50 brought Jim Jones and Jules Santana on stage during a G-Unit show, right in the middle of Dipset's messy internal fallout. Cameron saw it as pure disrespect. The crew was already crumbling behind the scenes, and 50 poured fuel on the flames on purpose. Then fast forward to 2019, Jim's name gets tied to that same individual one label in the wiretap. Full circle. Now 50's just sitting back, pressing play on old receipts and letting the fans connect the dots. Even though Jim Jones was never officially charged, the courtroom whispers hit different. Once prosecutors played that wiretap in court and the name Individual One got stamped on him, the internet went wild with snitching rumors. Jim saw all of 50's shady posts, every single one. And at first, he stayed quiet. Then, out of nowhere, he posted a classic Bird Gang era photo, dripping in Dipset nostalgia. The caption? "Why you keep lying? LOL. I'm going back to sleep. Free Mel Matrix till it's reversed." That shout out to his close homie Mel Matrix, who's locked up doing 11 plus years on racketeering, wasn't just support. It was a jab. Like, 50's out here faking the narrative. But Jim wasn't done. He laced up again and dropped another Jim flex, this time taking shots at Shannon Sharpe. His caption? "Somebody tell Shannon Sharpe, don't start ducking this challenge now. Go and talk like a podcaster or go and walk what you talk." "My sneakers tied," Jim basically said. "Run it." Then he added more pressure. "You already challenged me in front of the world. Might as well finish the job, champ." Even Ocho Cinco chimed in, saying Shannon didn't want it in public. Jim said, "Fine, let's do it in private." He even told Ocho to be the witness. "Size don't matter where I'm from. We don't duck challenges." So while 50 Cent's over there trolling like a sniper from the shadows, Jim was in full warrior mode, ready for whatever. And just when you thought he was cooling off, boom! Another post. This one came with heat. "If you 40 and up arguing with me about Nas, you already lost." Then he hit fans with the truth. "Y'all fell for the bait. My streams go up every time Mel goes viral. I'm teaching these older artists a lesson in marketing." He called out the OGs, saying they stuck in the past, too bitter to move with the times. "Tighten up?" And then the knockout line in the caption, "I said what I said. P.S. I'll wrap circles around any artist from my era. Whoever dares step in the booth, bring some money too, cause this game ain't free. We outside, we working, every day." Meanwhile, Nas still quiet, not a word. He's letting the storm rage while Jim's out here still baiting, still talking big, still calling himself more influential. But let's be real, if Nas did respond, it wouldn't just be a diss, it'd be a lyrical execution. But fans ain't letting Jim slide no more. They're calling him out heavy. Right now, Jim's still out here baiting, running his mouth like he's untouchable. Nas, still chilling in silence. And 50, he's sitting back in the shadows, pulling strings like a puppet master. But here's the scary part. If that unreleased wiretap really exists, Jim might have just talked himself into something way bigger than a rap beef. While he's out here rapping, flexing, and challenging podcasters to gym battles, 50's been quiet, too quiet. And when 50 gets that silent, that's when the bomb drops. So the real question now is, will Nas finally step in and shut this all down with straight up bars? Or will 50 let the streets cook Jim slowly and drop the truth when it's way too late to run? We're watching this unfold in real time, and trust, it ain't over yet. So if you want to stay locked in with this wild drama, make sure you like, share, drop a comment, and subscribe for more. This story's only getting messier. See you on the next one.